Join channel here over at SubStars. You look at this title, if you're looking at the screen, and you would think it's some sort of parody, or a few decades ago, this kind of thing would just be unimaginable. So Disney's ABC interviews Anthony Weiner, Democrat convicted of sending inappropriate materials to a child, applauded on Disney's The View, Disney's ABC's The View. Like Disney? I thought Disney was like that family-friendly company. Well, you thought wrong, apparently. So we're just so deep into Weimar. In case you haven't been paying attention, you're going to want to stock up on some supplies. What happened was you have the View, which is TV for the dumbest people on earth. It's 5 idiots who defame people because they don't know what they're talking about, and they get emotional, and they're just stupid. I think the original View back in the day had kind of a smarter women on it, and I don't think there's anyone from the original View left. So then they have to their counsel on the show, who's listening in real time, when they go to commercial break, will take them aside and go, "Oh, you're gonna have to retract that statement immediately." And so, much to their chagrin, they have to issue retractions. The whole thing's friggin' bizarre. It's like, you'd think you'd be familiar with defamatory statements of fact if you're in this line of work. So Trump derangement syndrome, it hit them harder than the wall that got them about 40 years ago. You look at them and you understand that the 19th Amendment was a critical error. It's like, how do you destroy a nation? Apparently it's giving women the vote. So The View is on ABC, which is owned by the very globalist Disney, and Disney itself is run by lizard people who are wearing human costumes. They slowly took over Disney so that you could use it to push the most evil, degenerate stuff imaginable, which is why their movies don't sell like they used to, because diversity is effing cancer, and the whole gay, trans stuff, turns out that is just not very popular. Especially now, after the Greenwald tape came out of him dressed as a schoolgirl with a butt plug or something. And I'm not going to watch that. And some people are attacking him, and some people are defending him. And then there are those of us who'd never listened to him in the first place because we already knew what he was. Are people really so naive that they don't know what that lifestyle entails? It's not, not all of them. No, only, 95%? What were you expecting? Honestly, what he was caught for is actually pretty tame. It's like, 2 consenting adults. Why would I care? But then I don't care about him in the first place. I wouldn't listen to someone like that. So it's weird that conservatives, in quotes, were supporting someone like him in the first place, because it begs a question. So what are you conserving? What the F have conservatives conserved over the past 100 years? And that's kind of its own video, but it's definitely not allowed on our Puppet Master Google tube. So anyway, Weiner is from the pizza days, if I remember correctly, from over 10 years ago, when the Epstein, Maria Abramovic, and the Clinton and the Podesta people, something about a building, talking about a first floor and a basement, and it was the second level was street level, so the kids got that confused or something. About 10 years ago, they all kind of started to get outed as being involved in some very shady, possibly demonic activity, and the mainstream media bent over backwards to run cover for them. I remember there's every once in a while there's a glitch in the matrix, and something just effing terrifyingly weird slips through. There was a furniture company, and then there was another as a clothing company, Ball and Siago, do as thou wilt. There's a Latin and a Greek definition for it, and they're both pretty creepy. And the other one, this furniture company, was selling cabinets and stuff for $40,000 or something. The descriptions were a bit odd. And I remember when that came out 5+ years ago. Immediately, within an hour of that coming out, the mainstream media was issuing stories about how it was nonsense. I looked at that. I felt sick because I realized you didn't do any research in an hour. You don't know anything. You're just saying These are not credible sources. It just kind of slips in the matrix with the Balenciaga thing was. And I think Brittany Ventney was the first one on YouTube who covered that story. Credit to her for that. So Weiner was one of those guys that was associated with that situation and was caught for being an Epstein with a 15-year-old, which is pretty bad. But imagine the stuff that he wasn't caught for. Absolute nightmare fuel. So like Jeremy Tubin of CNN fame, if we were in a sane world, this guy would be, well, no longer abiding upon this mortal coil with all the rest of these filthy degenerates if I was pulling the strings. But even if you don't want to go that far for some jerk-off like Tubin, even though I personally would allow the death penalty for any behavior that causes me secondhand cringe, and he was caught for like public enjoyment, would qualify them at least for some kind of rehab camps. But at least these people, I think it's fair to say, well, can we all agree that someone on CNN who's, I thought my camera was off, so I pulled out the lube and the whatever, and then you look at the ladies he was doing the show with, and you think they're the ugliest women I've ever seen, in like their 50s, just horrific, like never were good looking. And then you look at him and you're like, were you like gonna enjoy yourself to these nightmares? Like, I mean, that's even worse. So they fire him for like 6 months, a year or something, and then bring him back and like, oh, we haven't been in a serious country in a long time. And nobody's saying he should go to jail for something like that. It's just, you'd never be seen in, like, even if they want to hire him back to work behind the scenes as an editor to help put stories together. It's like, okay, you don't want the guy homeless for one really dumb mistake, but you also don't want him in the public. Have him behind the scenes. CNN, it's like, you know what it is? It's like there's a lot not to say on YouTube because it's part of a humiliation ritual for a conquered people. When you see this kind of stuff repeatedly, it's like the boys who are winning sporting awards, and they got long hair, and it's like it's still happening. Though to the girls' credit, some of them are refusing to take the stands, the leader stands when they win. And the thing is, like, for those girls, it's like you just can't compete when those guys are competing against you, and you know it's one of them. It's like just all agree not to compete. Let him run the race. The thing is, these kind of people should not be seen in public again. And one would assume that a show on a network that was owned by Disney would not invite some kind of Epstein character on the show to try to rehab his behavior of trying to get with a 15-year-old child. You got to have some standards for the formerly family-friendly Disney, and even that concept of the idea of a family-friendly Disney. And the one chick in the pink shirt, I guess the article said that she had a look on her face that she couldn't believe she was there. And if I'm on the show, I'd be like, I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna sit this episode out. How about that? It's an incredibly bad idea to have on Weiner to try to rehab his character. The thing is, that ship of Disney being Disney sailed a long time ago. Disney's not the Disney of the 80s and 90s, which was kind of their peak, when everyone had the transition from VHS tapes to DVDs because they were safe. You could put your kid in front of Disney movies from way earlier up until, the late 90s, and you knew they were going to be fine. And then after that, I suspect they got a little bit weird, and now they're just fully evil, and they have no interest in changing that. So they bring him on the show, this filthy parasite, to try to rehab him after he was caught trying to get with a 15-year-old. And apparently he didn't actually do it. Okay, that's admittedly, you have to have a spectrum of harm. Fair enough. It's just the intent, I guess. But that's pretty serious, 15-year-old. And, for me, I would say that you would get the ultimate punishment for trying to mess around with a 15-year-old when you're 50. It's not like he's I don't know, it's like a senior freshman or something that used to be a thing. He's in his 50s, and that's got to be, got to get the full full treatment to fix that. So I would say everyone on the show should be fired, and all the editors and whoever's the producer for the show. Like, yeah, of course I would fire them. But that's like you're assuming that we're back in the 90s or 80s. Everyone on the show approved this guy coming on the show. Their editors, their producers, the people at ABC who were, friendly, obviously, with the people at Disney. They ran this up the line. They go, yeah, we're going to bring Weiner back on and try to rehab him. And all the lizard people were getting together and go, yeah, absolutely, we'll sign off on this. Nobody's getting fired for this. I mean, it's just, what's next? Bring on Weinstein and try to rehab his character? It's bizarre, but and it's bizarre. Like, if you're a woman and you watch this, at some point you got to go, oh, we're in deep trouble, and we are. And then he has some weird line in his interview about his religion. He's not Christian or Catholic or whatever, but he compared himself to Christians about carrying some burden and going through the other side, and maybe like carrying a burden like a cross. It's weird for him to compare himself to Christians. That was odd. Except there is no other side for Epstein type of characters, unless you're talking about the ultimate other side, which is, let God sort them out kind of thing. So why on earth would Disney's ABC try to normalize this abhorrent end of civilization behavior? And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, like, stop and think about where we are and what is being normalized right now. Well, why did CNN fire and then rehire Jeremy Tubin, which, was not nearly as serious as this? I mean, that was just embarrassing. Or James Gunn was talking on his Twitter about kids, and he was talking about like very serious things about little children, and not even like young women, like teenagers or something. It was like he was talking about prepubescent. Like, yeah, there's a spectrum for people who hurt kids, and James Gunn was talking about like little kids. I mean, just, that should be he should get the ultimate punishment as well. But, I'm not in charge. If I was, the trains would run on fucking time. So they put him on the shelf for a year and then brought him back so he could do one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because he is really good at what he does, a director. And, I don't get the vibe that he was actually hurting kids. I think he's just got a screw loose, or he's trying to get attention or something. But all this stuff is possible because we live in an economic zone country, where anything that is not expressly proscribed, like in black letter law, illegal with punishment, is going to be allowed, because there's nothing. We don't live in a shame-based country, or what is it, like shame-based? It's shifted to a legally fear-based country where there are no morals because the country is too diverse. Like, the country doesn't share a lineage, a race, a religion, a history, because the country is only about 53% white European people now. That demographic has changed so radically, and at one time it was mostly white Christian. It's so diverse now that it is just turned into an economic zone, and it's been an economic zone for over a decade, maybe 2 decades now. Like, it is crossed the point of no return. The best you could do now would be to like take a few states, Oregon or Washington or something, which, sign me up for that. It sounds, take a couple of states. Yeah, we're just gonna like not have the mainstream media in these states. We'll call it like Greater Idaho or something, and just no, we're not gonna have any degeneracy. We don't need View interviewing some Weiner character or Disney at all. We can do our own thing. Anyway, so in an economic zone country, all this stuff is going to happen, and it's all going to get worse. This isn't the 1950s, where because the demographics were different, as demographics change, so does social cohesion, and high trust societies, which peaked in 1955 when the demographics were at their peak, is just not possible. Anything that they can legally do, they're going to do. I'm thinking like, was it not Total Recall? Was it what was that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in the 90s based on the Stephen King book, The Running Man, I think? And all these like horrific game shows. All that's going to happen. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. It's like, look at where we are. Look at all the things you've just come to accept with the stuff they're doing to kids. And if you said 50 years ago, you described what was being done to kids. Yeah, she was apparently giving him a bizarre look, like she couldn't believe she was here. But if you told somebody 50 years ago all the stuff they're doing to kids now, they would look at you like, so why aren't you rioting? Why don't you have a civil war? Why don't you have a revolution? I can't believe it's because it's a slippery slope and it happens so slowly. And like, oh, you got to be tolerant. You got to be tolerant. You look where we are now. It's like, oh, so the only way to turn this around now, we could have nipped this in the bud 20 years ago. The only way to turn this around now literally is a civil war. Like, that's kind of horrific. Anyway, what a dark video has turned out to be. But I mean, it's like this thing actually happened. It's weird. It almost doesn't register. It's so friggin' horrific that it just kind of, I almost did. I heard about this yesterday and I didn't even really think about it. And then I saw the article. I'm like, oh, this actually happened. It's all real. It's all got to talk about it. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.